All right. Welcome to another edition of Buck What You Heard. My name is Gene. You can reach me at Buck What You Heard. You follow me, I'll follow you back. And I'm joined by my special guest, Shooty Shoots from Shooter in the Stash. How you doing tonight?
Fantastic, Gene. Thanks
Hey,
for
we
having me on.
we've got week 2 almost finished. Well, we have that one game tonight, but for the most part, we've got week 2 of the NFL in our back pocket. So tonight we're doing something a little bit different. I know we normally talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and tonight I think what we're going to do is we're going around the league basically. We're going to talk about the Bucks. We're going to talk about some of these other games. Main show where we do focus on the Bucks will be on Wednesday. Thought we would try something else a little bit new and just go around the league because I know a lot of we have a lot of football savvy listeners out there, and I think it's kind of cool to kind of go around the league and talk about the NFL. So I will definitely be doing that. So if you're ready, we'll go ahead and get this started. And Shooty Shoots, how you doing tonight?
Let me ask you, this isn't Buck what you heard. This is just like
Around the
NFL what you heard.
That's right, NFL. What you heard? There we go.
Special edition. Might I make a suggestion? Because I've never seen this before. I have never seen a show, a podcast, whatever it is, dedicated to just one division. Like I think maybe you go like NFC what you heard, or maybe like take it down to NFC South what you heard. Have you looked into the possibilities here? There's some franchising you could do and everything.
Well, actually, since you brought this up, originally I would say 5 years ago there was a show called Southbound and Down. And Southbound and Down, we had Atlanta Falcons, the New Orleans Saints, Carolina Panthers, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And we all got together and we all kind of chimed in on how our team is doing. Since then, I've brought up the idea of bringing that back to several of the original hosts who actually created it because I thought it was a great concept, and I would love to bring something like that back where you had an NFC South podcast because I think that would be really dope. And if anybody comes up with the idea to do that, I would love to be a part of it. So, it's something that I've been kind of pushing for in the background, but just, getting the time to do it, I think is one of those things. I want to say what's up to Antoine Cates, Willie Horace, how you doing? Yeah, definitely fire those cannons because, the Bucks did good. So we're going to go around the league. We're going to spend a little bit of time with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because that was the Thursday night game. To me, that was the game of the week, only because it was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But we're going to talk about some of the other games because there was a lot of drama. And what's really cool, and I don't know if you think the same way, but getting to watch other teams when you know your team's not playing, it's like an extra bye week.
Yeah, it felt nice that we weren't going to have to watch the Bucks on Sunday, and we had free football Sunday. Didn't have to worry about the Bucks. They already won. We could watch everyone else and just make fun of Matt Ryan last night, even though they won. But cheer against all the other NFC South teams. Although I guess that would just be the
Yeah.
Falcons and the Saints because we already beat the Panthers. But yeah, I had fun. I went out to a local establishment, a very average place, with the stash of all people and some other folks.
Where
And
is this guy? Is he in witness protection? Where is he?
he is. He actually might be relocating to your neck of the woods, in a very remote place, and I'm not kidding either. So I'm just trying to keep my own tabs on that guy. But we went and watched. I kept a close eye on the Ravens. I follow the Ravens as like I guess if I had like an AFC team, you could say it would be the Ravens because I grew up there. I went to the first Baltimore Ravens game,
Mhm.
so I've really enjoyed watching them so far this season. One of
You
my
mean
friends.
the ex Cleveland Browns?
Well, I think we're over that. I think when they won the Super Bowl as the ex-Cleveland Browns, we
I
can
don't
move
know.
on
You,
now.
you you talk to some people in Cleveland. I think they may have a difference of opinion on it. But what do I know?
That was their last winning season. So,
Exactly.
but yeah, I watched a lot of that game. I watched a fair amount of the Packers game. For some reason, this place featured the Dolphins and the Patriots, which was just the worst
Pitiful.
game of the week, right?
If you
But
like
no.
if you like blowout games, I think that was right in your wheelhouse. To be honest, that was that type of game.
Well, we
But
all knew what was going to happen down there.
yeah,
So
absolutely, absolutely. So I want to kind of jump into this a little bit. I think this is going to be fun because we're going to talk about all the games with even the game going on tonight. I don't have any skin in that game, but again, we're going to start with the Thursday night game, which was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Carolina Panthers. And everybody that's not a Buccaneers fan, and even some Buccaneer fans, had the Carolina Panthers beating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers handily. So okay,
yeah,
here we starting to go. So basically, and in my pick'em league, I picked the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I just felt like this squad could come in and win this game. Number one, because I watched Cam Newton and I know he's not 100% healthy. I can tell you that right now. He's not 100%.
wait, how do you know that? Is it because, any ball that he throws over 10 yards is not even close to the receiver, or because he doesn't run the ball anymore, or what gives you that clue that he's injured? I mean,
Well, I was watching him against the Rams, and there were times where there were holes I could have run through, and he stayed in the pocket. And it's not Cam's game. Cam has not showcased the ability to run on a regular basis since the game he got injured. And you watch closely, and I think they did shut him down after that game. And then they brought him back out there. And yeah, he's able to stand up. He's able to do some certain things. But if you watch him when he gets hit and how slow he gets up, if you watch him when he finally has a scramble, you know that this guy's not 100%. Now, that being said, as a Bucs fan, I believe this defense, this Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense, I don't want to say Todd Bowles, I want to say this Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense now, they did what they had to do. And Vita Vea, Ndamukong Suh, somebody was trying to make a comment that Ndamukong Suh didn't get any sacks or any tackles. I don't care. They shut down that hole. Christian McCaffrey wasn't running wild like he did last year. Let's put it that way. And I want to get your thoughts on it before we kind of move on. But that was the game. The Bucs won 20-14, I believe.
yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't remember the
I'll pull it up.
I was
I'll
just
pull
too
it up,
happy.
but yeah, exactly. So let me get
Tears
your
of
thoughts on
happiness.
it. Yeah, there you go. But I want to get your thoughts on it. I don't want to hog up the whole scene here.
So here's how it went down. Of course, I went out to watch this game with some people, just like Sunday. We had to go check out the game. Remember, there was a short delay in the start of the game. They had some weather move through the area, which, by the way, like, you call that a thunderstorm, Charlotte? You're gonna delay the game. Did you see the radar for what they showed? Like that little tiny storm that passed over the stadium from north to south. That was like, what is that?
They've
You
obviously
call this a
never been to
thunderstorm?
Tampa. That we know what a thunderstorm is. Okay, we know.
Yeah,
And
usually
that was not it.
Yeah, usually the delays are here and they're hours long.
Right.
But anyway, during that delay, it was okay because it gave us some time to get settled in, have a drink or two, and have a little discussion about the keys to the game, which obviously was just like my key to the game was shutting down McCaffrey. Because if they shut down McCaffrey, it's going to force Cam to beat them, and hopefully the defense was going to hold on and win that game. But lo and behold, after the game, what's McCaffrey at? Like, compared to week one, he had 200 yards from scrimmage. And then last week, I don't know what the actual numbers were, but as far as just running, I think he was held to like under 40 yards running, which is spectacular when you look at the Bucs defense over the last 5 years. Totally different defense. And you know why? Because they gave up on the, I don't want to say they gave up on the Tampa 2 because I guess they probably still play it a little bit, but they finally have a real freaking.
They're straight 4-3.
Yeah, but they actually run a real aggressive defense now, and they make teams actually beat them. They just seem like a completely different team on defense to me. It just blows my mind. But yeah, I mean, we were talking about McCaffrey, stopping him being the key to the game. They did, and they didn't have a chance. Like I said, Cam, he can't throw the ball over 10 yards accurately. We talk about Jameis Winston not being accurate. Cam Newton's a worse thrower than Jameis is by a long shot. You can just go back to Thursday night and watch the game again.
Yeah.
So,
and I want to ask you. I put a question
trouble
in the chat here just a few seconds ago. You remember last year, was it Andrew Adams got 3 interceptions on Cam Newton? That's 3 turnovers. That's three changes of possession immediately. And I asked the question, what was better, the three interceptions on Cam Newton last year, or the 3 sacks against Cam Newton this year? And I'm not talking about the game itself. I'm talking about the fact that you go out and you get 3 turnovers against an opposing quarterback. What, in your opinion, just kind of comparing the two, because I know you remember that game, which one sticks out to you more?
I think it's the sacks. And you know why? We used to have this guy who was a defensive tackle who couldn't sack Cam for his life. So just to see somebody come in here and just have a monster game like that is just a breath of fresh air, especially when we don't have JPP and we're kind of shorthanded on the defensive line. I thought, Shaquille Barrett just came in huge that game. And that's a guy that now they're looking at signing long-term, I'm sure, or at least, starting the conversation.
You really have to.
What he's doing.
He's one of those guys you really have to. And I don't know if you followed my podcast. I was talking about Shaq Barrett way prior to him, even getting into the preseason, to be honest. I thought that was one of the biggest free agent moves that nobody was talking about, was bringing Shaq Barrett in. And untapped market, I don't even know where to begin to talk about where his ceiling is. This guy's legit. And I've been saying he's legit. And I'm telling you what, if he continues on this path, he's going to be something else. And you bring up an interesting point when you brought up JPP. JPP is a guy that we haven't talked about him. We haven't really needed to talk about him, to be very honest. And I believe that, when he comes back, if he's 100% healthy, you're talking about a totally different situation here. You're talking about just adding to a defense that's doing really good. And I want to continue to see what this defense does, against a team like the New York Giants, against the Saquon Barkley. That's going to be a good test for this Buccaneers defense, against the run, to see how they do against him.
Yeah, but again, it's one guy I feel like they have to shut down. And then can Eli Manning, beat the Bucs by himself? Maybe, 10 years ago he could, but this is Eli's last year in New York and maybe in the league. So again, just shut down the run and make sure your offense is moving the ball like they have been enough so far this season. It's the first game was kind of hit or miss.
Yeah.
But, I don't expect those 3 turnover games from Jameis every other week. They're going to happen, but they're going to happen maybe once or twice. Hopefully not 3 times a season.
You know what?
So,
and I'm sure I'm on my own. To me, Jameis Winston is a blessing and a curse, both. And I love Jameis. When Jameis is on, you can't help but love the guy. But there are times where he just kind of gets off track and he does what he does. That's the nature of who he is. And I guess a lot of people either don't like him or are not willing to accept that. Brett Favre used to throw and I'm not comparing the two. I'm just saying Brett Favre used to just like cowboy, gunslinger, throw the ball wherever he thought he can make a play. And, that was just who he was. And Jameis Winston is a lot of the same thing. I mean, I don't really want to see Jameis Winston get conservative and not go out there and try to make plays, but I do want him to keep his head about himself when he does make plays.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. And I don't think the comparisons are tough, right? Because
I hate comparisons. I think each player is an individual and they should be allowed to, play and be who they are. That's why, we're talking about the Carolina game here. We talk about Gerald McCoy. Here's a guy that, to be very honest, he should have just kept his damn mouth shut and just said, I'm Gerald McCoy. That's who I am. He should have never brought Warren Sapp's name into the conversation, because to me, Warren Sapp is a legend. He's, to me, one of the all-time greatest players in Bucs history. and you can't put yourself in that category if you do not have a body of what is that?
What?
No, never mind. Oh,
What? What? I just want to say high five, Gerald. Thanks for helping us get our first win of the season.
Yeah, he probably should have wore that kimono, but we're on to other things here. But
yeah, let's get him out of there. But thank you, Gerald, for laying the path for us to beat the Carolina Panthers twice this season. Hope you stick around with them for a little bit longer.
Yeah, absolutely. I cannot stress that enough. But yeah, and again, there were so many different facets to this game. I think what the Bucs are doing right now is relying on the defense, and the defense is coming through Vernon Hargreaves, who's been so maligned, and there have been a handful of people that believe Vernon Hargreaves was just not coached up properly. And I think the way what his progress is showing to me is that there may be some credence to that, playing him in a scheme which is not his strength.
Yeah. Just close your eyes, though, and picture this. Vernon Hargreaves on one side and Jalen Ramsey on the other side, because that's all people are talking about on Twitter right now.
Yeah, it's potential. It could potentially happen. I'm sure.
It could, but there's two things missing. A lot of money, which Ramsey wants, and the Bucs just can't afford to give up draft picks. Like, you kind of think like maybe they should, because we're not the best drafting team. So what would it hurt to have your first round pick be Jalen Ramsey next year and have him this season? But I think the Bucs need as many draft picks as they can possibly get, and just kind of keep building up that depth, which we're starting to see this year. Someone we haven't talked about yet was Minter, who stepped in. Right in that first quarter.
we haven't got to that point, but go ahead, please, by all means.
Yeah, out of nowhere, Kevin Minter comes in and plays middle linebacker. What happened last year when Quan went out? We were like done. We were done at linebacker. We had nothing. Who was it? What's his name?
Jacquez Smith. And then you got to consider too, Kendall Beckwith and his injury really hurt the linebacker core. For the past couple of years. So yeah, you're definitely right.
Yeah, but they went and made some good moves. Even I feel like Barrett was a depth move, and now he's, he better be starting. But to know that you have a guy like Minter that you can just plug in there and it's going to work out.
I believe he had the green dot, didn't he?
He was playing middle linebacker, so as soon as he went in for White, who I guess is not a serious injury, by the way, he was saying after the game he should be okay.
The one thing I love about this coaching staff is they take these injuries seriously. You don't just wheel somebody back out on the field and tell them to play if you don't think it is. I think that was precautionary. I think it was smart. It really shows you a little bit of depth on this defense, that they were able to bring a Kevin Minter in there and he was able to just kind of pick up the slack. So I'm super excited about, this defense. If they can stay healthy, I really, really am excited about it.
Yeah. Well, I still want to see him play a potent offense, because I don't think the Panthers are a very good team this year. And, the jury's not out on the 49ers. They whooped up on, who was it, the Bengals on Sunday?
Yeah, we'll get to those scores in just a minute.
And that was a surprise, but I still want to see them play. I was going to say New Orleans, but they're going to not have Drew Brees.
I want to see him play a division rival like Seattle. That's going to be a good measuring stick as to, what kind of team this 49ers team is.
The Niners, yeah.
Yeah, and to be honest, their horrible fan base, I mean, I really hope that they haven't arrived, because I don't know, the 49er fans are god-awful at times. So
they've been very quiet for a while now. So
Which I've been good with. That's like Atlanta. I've been good with Atlanta being quiet, because they need to.
But yeah, I'm going to keep an eye on the 49ers, because I want to see what else they can do. It seemed like their offense played really well last week or yesterday, Sunday, against the Bengals. And their offense against our defense really couldn't do much at all. So, are we looking at having a top 5 defense again in Tampa? And I think, That's going to be the big question mark. If we do have a top 5 defense, this team will be able to make the playoffs as long as Jameis and crew keep putting up points.
Yeah. So let's kind of roll through the NFL. Guys, we're going to come back. I swear to God, we're going to come back. We're going to talk about the Bucs here in a little bit. We'll be on for a while. I mean, it's not going to be like a hour show. We'll be on for a while, but we'll get back to the Bucs. I do want to talk about some of these other games that have been going on in the NFL. Really cool storylines, I think. And I think the game that really stuck out to me, one of the games, is the Arizona Cardinals versus the Baltimore Ravens. And to me, the reason I say that is you've got a guy that's been much maligned since the draft in Lamar Jackson, and they said this guy was a running back or a tight end, that he wasn't a quarterback, that he couldn't make those throws. And what has Lamar Jackson done in these past couple of seasons? I want to sit down and talk with these scouts and these anonymous GMs that are making these comments about these guys that are dropping their draft stock. I think that's BS. I think with Lamar Jackson, he showed you what he can do. And as Warren Sapp says, tape don't lie. And you know what you're getting with him. And what he's gone out and done with a chip on his shoulder is he's gone out and balled out of control. And I don't know about you, but just watching him, and I realized that the first team he beat up on was Miami. I think that he's gone out and in a close game, he was able to go out and make throws and make plays. So just getting to watch him going up against an up-and-coming Kyler Murray, who is a rookie quarterback who's been he's been playing good. I mean, maybe the team around him isn't the best, but what he's been able to do is incredible. I mean, when Larry Fitzgerald, at his age, has 2 100-yard games, that tells you all you need to know about your quarterback. I mean, and that offensive line is atrocious, and they're still able to get out there and do what they do. So,
yeah, Kyler Murray, he can throw the ball, man. Like,
Yeah.
he is a legit quarterback, and obviously he can run too. So we keep seeing more and more of these guys like Murray and Jackson, where they're dual threats, but it's not like they were in the past. It seems like these guys can throw the ball on a dime. And I try to watch the Ravens when I can, and I will say Jackson does struggle with accuracy, but what quarterback doesn't? Like, we talk about Jameis every other week, how he can't hit the deep ball.
that guy's deep ball. He was dropping dimes and buckets, man. I mean,
well, you see the highlights. If you watch the game, he misses the throws, the same type of throws that Jameis misses. And then even if you watch Carson Wentz last night, Carson Wentz was missing throws too. I mean, all these
but some people just get more slander than others do. And again, I don't think it's warranted. I think he's managed the game. He hasn't gone out and played outside of what he's capable of doing. I think he's gone out there and made plays when they've been available. He's used his legs when the time calls for it. I just think that he's really coming around as a complete quarterback. I mean, so far. I mean, the jury's still out, of course, but just what he's done in his time as a starter, I'm really happy with his progress as you look at it.
Yeah, I talked to some people yesterday that were saying MVP possibly with him, and it's way too early to say that. And I think Mahomes has got a early leg up on him already anyway.
Yeah, what is his cheat code? I'm trying to get that for my Madden game.
The thing that's scary about like Kyler Murray and Jackson, Lamar Jackson, and some of these guys that can just run a little bit and throw is they make it look so easy where they just tuck the ball and then they can make that 10-yard run when it's 3rd and 10. And if you don't have a guy dedicated to watching him who also has to be as fast as him to catch him, these guys can easily run for that first down just by scrambling. And that's what you saw a lot in that Ravens-Cardinals game. It's funny because, I said I went to this bar to watch it. They've got every single game on. The only screen that this was on was like in the corner of the back of the bar. I think it was basically just me that was kind of interested in it. I was trying to tell everyone else, this is like the game to watch. Like, we'll watch these quarterbacks. And, it didn't end up being that high scoring of a game, but you saw 2 really, really good young quarterbacks. And I'm going to be scared of Kyler Murray in the future. Like right now, he's going to have a learning season, but in a couple years, like if the Cardinals can get an offensive line. They've got some good wide receivers that, obviously Fitzgerald, but they got some other no-name guys that are coming up that look really solid too. They will be a good team in the future, just not yet.
Yeah, most definitely. And you just kind of have to be patient. I think what the game that Cliff Kingsbury has been calling, as a new coach, as a rookie coach, and not making the same mistakes he made the week before, I think he's really coming along. So here's a franchise that they decided, hey, we want to get rid of Josh Rosen, and I want to call that the Mahomes effect, because you've got a quarterback that reminds you, not the same, they're not the same, but they have similarities as a Mahomes, and you saw what Mahomes was capable of doing. And I think where Mahomes has a leg up is that he was able to sit for a year and then come in, and he smoothly transitioned into that offense, and he's been nothing but successful as he's been doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, did you watch any of that game on Sunday?
Oh, absolutely. I watched that game. I was that was the one thing, the rookies I've been watching, and this is how my mind works. So we lost the Bucks lost Adam Humphries. The Bucks lost Quan Alexander. The Bucks let Joe McCoy walk. And just there are other players out there in the NFL that used to be Bucks, and I kind of keep up with them to see what they're doing. But then you look at your draft picks, players like a Kyler Murray. There are certain players that I watch to see how they're progressing, just to kind of know what they're doing, and and that's kind of how my mind works. And then there are teams like the Cleveland Browns where you see all the hype with them, and you're just kind of curious as how this team is going to finally if they're going to come around or they're not. So teams like that, the Tennessee Titans and Marcus Mariota, that Mariota and Jameis Winston are married to each other. Just different scenarios, I guess, that I look for in games, and I think that's what draws me to different games.
Now, you said you kind of try to keep tabs on ex-Bucks players.
Yeah.
Anyone from last season that's gone that you are really missing?
No.
I mean, I'd say there's only one that I really would still like on the team, even though he was kind of probably bad for the locker room he got hurt last night. Deshaun Jackson on the offense would. I know James can't, but James can't hit him deep.
Yeah, and let me say this.
Having him there.
Yeah, you can only help your team if you're on the field, and there were so many times that Deshaun Jackson's been hurt. I mean, ankle injury here, a little nick here, a little ding here, and I'm good with that. I love what Chris Godwin is doing. Chris Godwin stepped into where Deshaun Jackson was. And you've got a guy that gave you a 100-yard game against the Panthers. So, yeah, I get what you're saying. I get that, everybody's like, oh, Deshaun Jackson, this speedster, he did this. And, yeah, he did that the first game. But the first game of the NFL season, I'm going to call the first two games, I'm going to call them overreaction games, because one way or the other, if your team does bad one week and they do good the next week, hey, they're a playoff contender, or vice versa. People are jumping out the window because, one of your guys gets hurt. And, again, we'll get into some of these other games. But to me, I'm trying to be as focused on one game at a time. Let's see what they do this game. And that's just like the New York Giants game. I mean, I keep reverting back to the Bucks because, I'm a homer like that. But but getting back to that, it's just, how do you adjust to that next team? Yeah, you won this game. Yeah, you won a game that most people said you weren't going to win. But how do you do against that next team up? And, I tell you that the game against the next game we're going to talk about is that 49ers-Bengals game. And that was a game that I was especially watching because of how Tampa played against them. And those back-breaking penalties that Tampa had, those turnovers those giveaways that Tampa had, and how this team does going up against another team. And they answered the bell. They curb stomped the mess out of the Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, they just from first quarter to the fourth quarter, They just stomped them out, and that's what you're supposed to do. If you get a win, you're supposed to keep that momentum. But let's see what they do next week in their next game to see how they do.
Yeah, unfortunately for the 49ers, they also have Seattle in that division, and they've also got who else is in that division?
You got Arizona. 2-0, right? You got Arizona, Seattle. Oh my God, who's the third team? That's crazy.
They're in the West somewhere.
Is it the Rams?
You should
Rams.
know this.
It's the Rams.
Yeah, the Rams are 2-0 also, right? So that's the problem with the 49ers is, are they ready to compete with the Rams and the Seahawks? Maybe the Seahawks they can compete with, but I fully expect the Rams to still win that division, even though they haven't looked that great,
But it's all about winning the game,
Yeah.
And a lot of people are like, you got to win pretty, and you got to do this, you got to do this. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I'm sure that's what you want to do. But at the end of the day, a win, that's what you want, a win, because playing good and getting all these sacks is not going to help you if you're going to the playoffs and you're not winning the game. So wins are where it's at.
Yeah, and that's the thing that's happened with the LA Rams really since they moved to LA. Is they brought in their new coach McVay, and they became this team that used to lose a lot of games, like the Bucks. And now they're a team we expect to win every Sunday. Like they've just become a winning franchise. Like it seems like it happened overnight. They were in the Super Bowl last year.
Dude, they've always had the talent. They've always had the talent there. It was Jeff Fisher that held his team back. And that's, Dirk Cutter, Dirk Cutter is the Jeff Fisher effect, to be very honest.
I know. I'm just about to say, where have we heard that before, right?
And I'm not saying this, I'm not being, I'm not trying to be mean or anything like that. But I look at Ronald Jones as a good example. I look at Vernon Hargraves as a good example, and how they're progressing in this new defensive scheme and how it plays to their strengths. And when you had a head coach last year that that just wasn't it. That wasn't what was going to happen. So again, just once Jeff Fisher was gone, you had a young coach who knows about the NFL, who knows how to make adjustments, who knows how to get the most out of his players. I think that's what you need. I don't care how old he is, but the fact that he knows how to get the most out of his players that's all you really want. GM goes out and says, "Hey, I think this player will fit your scheme. Why don't you go out and work with him? Let's see what you can do." And to me, I've always felt like this Buccaneers team has underachieved, lost games that they should have won. And this has been going on for well over a decade. And I can't say every season, but for the majority of them, you've just seen them underachieve time after time after time. So that's kind of what I talk about with the Jeff Fisher effect, where I think coaching plays a bigger part in a team being successful or not successful than your players, because you still have to collectively win as a team.
Yeah. And like, that Rams culture is just all about winning. You're not going to see the Rams look at trading for a guy like Gerald McCoy or bring him in next offseason. It's just not going to be a fit with that organization. I guarantee it. Yeah. But yeah, enough about the Rams. You want to talk about how they whooped the Saints? I think a lot of that has to do with Drew Brees being out, smacking his finger. What was his thumb?
Yeah,
right
he hit
on
his thumb.
And
I tell you what, I think that the city of New Orleans is on suicide watch. And I would not, even if I worked at Foot Locker, I would not wear a striped jersey in the city of New Orleans or in the state of Louisiana, period. Because you will come up missing. They may find you in the swamp a couple of years later, because referees, I'm telling you right now, referees are not a good thing in the state of Louisiana, just based on the way that game was called.
No, well, you saw the not the Super Bowl, the play where they scored a touchdown, right?
Yes.
Fumble recovery. Like, how do you call that back? It's clear. Like,
yeah, And
I mean,
and I think what made it worse was they blew the play dead, so you couldn't do anything else. You had to take the ball right there. So you basically took 7 points off the board.
they did, and we're Bucks fans, so God bless you, refs. But I mean, you got to stop screwing over the Saints unless
Dude,
they're playing us.
we could go back to let's go back to Bert Emanuel and the catch. Bert Emanuel gets the catch, and you know what the NFL does for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? They give you an apology letter. Oh, I'm sorry, we screwed this up. How does it? I'm getting ready to. I'm going out on a tangent here. Jameis Winston took some shots that he shouldn't have taken in that game against the Carolina Panthers. I can count 2, and nothing was called. And I'm really sick of people talking about protecting the shield, and some of these players aren't getting the love that they deserve, or at least getting a fair game. I don't want a referee to be the reason a team wins or loses. I don't want this guy who's not in this game to play that big of a part in it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But, I think you got to be clear about Jameis Winston and where he stands in this league. I don't think the NFL really wants to see Jameis Winston be that successful. And I think that's because strictly, his past. You could almost call it his childhood, because a lot of those things happened when he was in college. I know you're not a child in college, but a lot of those things that happened were when he was younger. He seems to have matured. We're not hearing, any of these types of stories anymore, but that's always going to be held over his head by the NFL. So we're not going to get the benefit of these late hits on Jameis. I just guarantee you're not going to see it, and it's because of that. So I think we just got to get used to that. We got to feed that underdog mentality. Screw the Patriots. Just because you didn't win the Super Bowl 1 year, or you win the Super Bowl every other year, doesn't mean you're an underdog the next year you don't win it.
Yeah, that's far from the case. And nobody's trying to hear that. I mean, when you go out and do what you did, I mean, that's just what it is.
Yeah, and unfortunately, he has to live with that, and I think he is kind of penalized for what's happened in the past. And everybody likes an underdog story, though. I think the Bucks turn around. He's the face of the Bucks. I could see the NFL warming up to him, but I don't expect those late hit calls. I mean, if Tom Brady gets sneezed on, and the Patriots are up 43-0, they're still going to get an extra 15 yards on that play because it's Tom Brady,
dude. And I don't. Are you playing Pick'em League, or I gave up on fantasy football because I felt physically ill. I actually had Julio Jones on my fantasy team back in 2015, and I felt physically ill because I'm sitting here rooting for this clown. So yeah, I got done with that, and that was pretty much it. Deion Sanders got CTE because he was talking about that the Bucks ain't nothing and the Falcons are gonna win it all. So yeah.
Well, Jesus, you think Christ. We're homers? Deion Sanders is still living in the past.
And I don't know who's worse, him or Michael Irvin.
How is Michael Irvin still on these broadcasts? He's so bad, and he's the guy that's been there longer than anyone else, I think.
I don't know, man. Maybe he's got a sex tape or some pictures or something somewhere. I don't know.
If that helps.
I do not know. There's something to that. There really is. So I want to kind of switch gears a little bit. We were talking about this game, the 49ers versus the Bengals, and they played well on both sides of the ball. Special teams looked good. Quan got a turnover. They ran the ball well, and from the run, they were able to get that play action working, and Garoppolo looked pretty decent. So, they went out and they curb stomped the Cincinnati Bengals. So, they won the game. They rebounded from that win against the Bucks and came in and dominated the next game.
Yeah. And I don't have much else to say about that game. I don't think the Bengals are very good. The jury's not out on the 49ers. I want to see what happens with them next week. And I want to see how their offense plays against a better defense, because that kind of will tell me how good our defense is, because I don't think we're going to get a solid reading on that playing the Giants next.
Yeah. And I want to preface this with, this is game 2 of a 16-game season. So what we're talking about in the moment. We're talking about this game. We're not or when we talk about these games, it's this particular game It's nothing outside of this game because, we have to do it all again next week. You're looking at something different could happen next week. So there could be an injury or there could be a player that steps up and has a breakout, game and then propels his team to do better. So at this point, when we're talking about these games, these NFL games right now, we're just talking about for week 2. It has nothing to do with anything outside of this because you kind of have to wait and see what you've got the next week. So if you hear us talking about this, big win this week, that's pretty much all it is. And you kind of have to wait until next week to see what they're potentially going to do. So the next game up for me is the Chargers, the Los Angeles Chargers, the much maligned Los Angeles Chargers versus the longtime cursed Detroit Lions. And I think that curse goes back to Bobby Lane or something like that. The Bobby Lane, I think, is it Bobby Lane? Is that who the guy that cursed the Lions and they've never been right since then?
That's a real thing?
Yeah, the Bobby Lane curse. I'm actually looking it up right now. What were your thoughts on that game as you were watching it?
I had no interest in that game. I mean, like Phillip Rivers threw a bunch of picks. I know at least 2, right? And both these teams just don't really do anything for me. The Chargers, I thought were going to be decent and have a chance to win the AFC, but they haven't shown it this season to me. And I think they are missing Gordon more than they would like to. Well, more than they would like to pay him for sure. But yeah, I mean, the Lions aren't going to go anywhere. That's a tough division. They just haven't gotten better. They're not using the Belichick cheat codes with Matt Patricia. And the Chargers, I'm just disappointed. I kind of cheer for the Chargers because I like those powder blue jerseys and I like Phillip Rivers. I like to see the guy win and maybe ride off into the sunset. But
you already know why I don't like the Chargers. He's not playing. He's not playing this year, but you already know why I don't like the Chargers. But
who?
Never mind. So here's the Bobby Lane. Here's the Bobby Lane curse. Basically, Bobby Lane in 1958 was traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he said, as he was leaving, that the Lions will not win for 50 more years, meaning that the Lions would not be superior for 50 years. And that curse has had a hangover up till 2019. So if that tells you anything, that's pretty much where the Bobby Lane curse is, and I really believe that's a real thing.
I don't know. I heard John Gruden said the same thing when the Bucs fired him.
Well, yeah, I think we don't
believe in curses.
To be very honest, I don't know about that. He couldn't groom a rookie quarterback. He gave us Bruce Gradkowski. If that tells you anything, so there's that.
Yeah, he's a mess.
Yeah. So
you want to go to that Raiders game?
Yeah, let's talk about the Raiders. Okay.
Because I tried to watch the beginning of that game. I did watch the beginning of the game.
So when you were a little kid, so I have to ask you this: when you were a little kid and you raced somebody and you gave them a head start, and then you caught up with them and beat them, did you ever do that to somebody?
Beat them in a race?
Yeah, like if you were going to race somebody and you give them a head start, let them get a little bit ahead, and then you catch up with them and beat them. I used to do that all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm watching this Chiefs Raiders game, and I'm looking at the Raiders, and it's crazy. Raider Twitter was just going nuts because I think they were up 10-0 over the Chiefs.
They were.
And so
early.
I'm sitting here. I'm sitting here. I'm like, okay, so the Chiefs just gave the Raiders a head start. Let's see what they do with it. And sure enough, Patrick Mahomes decided to wake up and just he dialed in his cheat code or whatever the heck he does with the football or whatever he does, and they again end up just beating the brakes off of the Raiders.
It was like Mahomes just wanted to take the first 10 minutes off, like the first quarter off.
That's what it felt like.
Yeah. And then he's like, all right, let's play now. It's just the Raiders.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened. It should have been way more than 28-10. But yeah, the Raiders were up like in the first 5 minutes, 10-0. I was like, oh my gosh.
Uh-oh, I just lost Shooty. Uh-oh. We'll see if we can get him back on here. But yeah, again, it was a game that I thought Kansas City, I thought Kansas City was just going to dominate from whistle to whistle, and it just wasn't that type of game. It was really wild that that kind of thing happened. So again, it's the Kansas City Chiefs. It's them going out and doing what they do. And to me, that's pretty exciting that they're out here playing like that, and they're able to they get a lead and they're able to go out there and do something with it. And once they got ahead, they were able to really go out and capitalize on that. So again, that's this one of those things, man. Let's see if I can get him back on here. So let's see if I can reconnect him, and we'll go back to some of these other games. But in the meantime, while I'm trying to get him on, let me go back to the chat a little bit, because I know a lot of people were talking about Shaq Barrett. And again, Shaq Barrett's one of those guys that I've been talking about Shaq Barrett, before the season started. He was one of him and Deion Buchanan were two of the moves that I was really super excited about, that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were able to make. So, I was hyped about it. I was glad that he was able to do that. And, again, he came out and he balled out of his mind. And again, it's really cool. I put this, the question I put out there about Andrew Adams and his 3 interceptions versus Shaq and his three sacks. And the majority of people were pretty much decided that it was the sacks that made it. But to me, because I'm just going by individual games, I'm not going by careers or anything like that. I'm just looking at special games. I think that's what really struck me with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Andrew Adams having the game that he had, and getting those sacks. So, I was like super hyped about it. And you're right. Buccaneer Bruce, you're 100% right. Shaq got those sacks because of a massive interior push. And you can thank players like Vita Vea, who I know, when you think about Vita Vea, you look at a guy that, was much maligned. You had a lot of people that really did not want him drafted. They wanted somebody else to be drafted. And, it's crazy that here we are like that we're, we're here talking about this right now. But I'm really, I'm looking forward to, to seeing what he's going to be capable of doing. So, give me a second here. Let's see if we can get him back on here. Let's see. That defensive line, I mean, they did what they had to do, to be very honest. I mean, I don't know what happened. Oh, here we go. Let's see. Okay, let's see if I can get him back on here and see if this works. If not, we will, because I think this has been fun. I mean, what do you guys, I know if you guys are wanting to talk Bucks and 100% Bucks, we're definitely going to do that on Wednesday with Michael Pless. But I thought it'd be kind of cool on Monday just to talk about some of the other games that have been going on and talk about some of the future players, the future teams that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to face. So I really, I wanted to kind of do something a little bit different and just kind of see how that goes. Well, look at here. I think we've got the launch Madden 20. So now, okay, and I see what happened here. We have Shooty Shoots live at in some locker room now. How did that happen? How did this happen? I mean, 1 minute we're talking football and you disappear on me, and the next thing I know, you're in the Bucks locker room. How does this happen? I see. So you just got to keep on. You got to kind of have to keep on the move, I'm guessing. I see. So, do we have to worry about security or anything like that, or what are we looking at here? Okay. Yeah, just tell him. You just tell him to keep it down while you're trying to sleep, right? Yeah. So, were you upset that the ping pong table was taken away? I don't know. For me, if I'm a coach, no. I don't know about the whole ping pong thing.
You also have to have the fun work environment, so they want to be there. So I could see both sides of it, though. Like you got to get your business handled first, and this team,
I
maybe
totally.
like here you go. You get to 4 wins, you get the ping pong table. You get to 8 wins, you get the food truck stuff that Gerald liked. You get to like 10 games, you get TVs or something. I don't know, Xbox.
I don't know. I guess that's fine. They're consummate professionals.
It's a
Um,
reward system, you
yeah,
see.
yeah.
Stripper poles get to 12 games. Put the stripper poles like where?
I would
Like
think
one here,
stripper
one
poles
right
would have
here.
stripper
There's
poles
room.
would have to be playoffs for me if I had a choice in it, if I had a hand in it.
Well, 12
So
games, you're in the playoffs,
yeah.
hopefully.
So we'll kind of gloss through some of these other games. The Green Bay Packers win 21-16 over the Minnesota Vikings. Kurt, not my cousins, has a game. I guess he has a decent game. Well, no, he didn't really because they lost. But Green Bay continues to surprise me.
Yeah.
I kind of had written Green Bay off, but again, Joe Cool has the game. The game of his a good game, and he stays calm, and the Green Bay Packers win. So, and that was a
Yeah.
division game, which is huge.
The thing about Green Bay is I thought they would not be good this season.
That
And the
was my thought. That
reason,
was exactly my thoughts.
yeah, the reason why they're playing well though is because much like the Bucks, it's their defense that has really kind of turned it around. And they didn't get a new defensive coordinator or anything. They just got better players and it's
And
worked
see, that
out.
goes back to what I was talking about. I mean, people have been trashing Jason Light, and to be very honest, some of that is warranted. That Jason Light gets some of the slander that he gets. When you look at the kicker and some of the players that he's brought in that didn't pan out. But at the end of the day, he's brought in players and they're quality players. You have a good coach now, so it's time for all of his investments to start giving fans returns. If you know what I mean, as far as what he's done, fans have been patient with him, and it's just kind of getting old. But I will say this: from what I've seen from Bruce Arians, from what I've seen from Todd Bowles, I expect a little bit more from Byron Leftwich. But I like where this team is, and I like the direction this team is going.
Yeah, they're definitely heading in the right direction. It seems like things in the division are working out in their favor. Yes, we don't want to wish, Drew Brees any long-term injuries or anything like that. He'll be okay, the man. But honestly, that's going to be a huge benefit to the Bucks. Like it seems like as long as the Bucks can stay on track with their defense, put up enough points to win, Atlanta's going to be their only challengers in the NFC South. And Atlanta is a solid team, but I don't believe in Atlanta. Matt Ryan, he ain't going to win a Super Bowl.
No, melted ice, no, or Matty Ice, or whatever they call it, fool, man. You know, it's funny. The only Matt Ryan that's solid is Matt Bryan, and you take the B off
It's
that
true.
name, and he's the only consistent player on that team. I don't want to hear about Matt Ryan. So it
Well, I
is
don't
what it
know.
is.
I'll give Julio Jones some credit. That guy's pretty
Okay,
good.
yeah, okay, yeah. So I guess I need to put aside my animosity and say, okay, Julio Jones is a good receiver. We were talking about some of these games here, and again, like I said, on the back end of the back end of the show, we'll talk more about the Bucks. I've kind of been sprinkling them in as we go along, and this game against the Saints, everybody talked about Michael Thomas in the off season, Everybody talked about, Michael Thomas and how good he is. And I believe that, what you see with Mike Evans and how consistent Mike Evans has been, they weren't able to capitalize with Michael Thomas when Drew Brees went out, or just really get him going to begin with. And it just makes me wonder, because when I look at Mike Evans had a plethora of quarterbacks to throw to him. I mean, when you look at before Jameis was here, wasn't it Josh McCown and Mike Glennon were throwing to Mike Evans, and he was catching the ball. I mean, he caught the ball from Johnny Manziel. I mean, this guy, whoever's throwing the ball to him, he's catching it. You know what I'm saying? So, Again, when I look at Michael Thomas, he's a talent, but I just can't compare him to Mike Evans. And I'll go on, I'll die on that hill defending that, because I think that's just how good he is.
Yeah, and you're talking about Mike Evans, who has had a really slow start to the season. So
I'm not worried about it. Mike
Evans there's a lot of people not in Tampa.
Those are probably the same jackasses that said Mike Evans was washed up when he dropped all them passes and still ended up with 1,200 yards receiving. So to those players, to those people who don't follow the Bucs, I can tell you right now they don't follow the Bucs, because nobody would be talking about that based on what Mike Evans did in a bad year, catching 1,200 yards. I would just be quiet and let the season flow. Let's see what he does.
Well, let me put this out there. I know you're not into the fantasy realm, but if anyone is out there playing fantasy against a bunch of non-Tampa Bay residents or Tampa Bay Bucs fans, go make an offer for Mike Evans right now, because you might get him for the cheap. Because he just hasn't done that much in those first two games. It's been all Godwin pretty much. But he's going to bounce back for sure.
Hey, listen to that. We got a little bit of fantasy football insight here. So
get it. Make those trade offers now.
You never know what you're going to get. Just the way we're just going with this whole thing. But so with that game with the New Orleans Saints and the game that they played, and how the refs pretty much gave them the business again. I don't know. You've got a bunch of Saints fans that are on suicide watch, so something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I'm not worried about them.
Yeah, absolutely. Alvin Kamara kind of concerns me, but again, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Next game up is the Houston Texans versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. And here's a game. Again, I bring this game up only because Twitter Nation is going nuts about the potential of Jalen Ramsey being a Tampa Bay Buccaneer.
Yeah, I don't know why everyone thinks that. Is that just because he's available now? Like last week, Fitzpatrick was going to be the Minka,
Minka Fitzpatrick.
Was going to be the next Buck, and now it's they're all about Jalen Ramsey. And I don't know. To me, I think I mentioned earlier, you can't give up first round draft picks if you're the Bucs right now. You just can't do it. It's not worth it to me. And I think
didn't they want a number? Don't they want a second round pick for Minka Fitzpatrick?
At least, yeah.
And let me say this, and I don't care. Hey, Kwame Richardson, what's going on? I don't care what happens, to be honest. For me, I just want players to come in and fit. We've seen this with Ward. We've seen this with Baker. We've seen this with a lot of players that they bring in and they have potential to be game changers, and they end up not being game changers. The one exception to the rule that really stands out to me is JPP, and JPP ended up getting injured. So there's that. And I'm just going to kind of leave this there. But Minka Fitzpatrick, I feel, is a great fit for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And if you gave up a number 2, I would definitely say that Minka Fitzpatrick is a number 2, is at least a second round pick. If you had to do this draft all over again, he would be more than a second round pick. So in that instance, and because of the time he has left on his contract, that would be the move I would make. Not so much Jalen Ramsey, but more of a Minka Fitzpatrick kind of move. I would be good with Jason Light going out there and making that kind of move. I think it would make sense. As people are talking about in the chat, he fits this scheme, number 1. And number 2, you already know what you have from him in a productivity standpoint. And he would only be he would only be he would only upgrade the safety position for what it is right now.
Yeah. I would probably go with Ramsey if I had the pick. Now, not for a first round pick in exchange, but the reason why I like Ramsey better is because we need some like hot-headed guys on this defense. Yes, the defense is better, but just they need more of an attitude. And you saw the clips from yesterday. Jalen Ramsey has an attitude problem.
Right.
And that's what I want to see. Like we have that on offense. I feel like you see Jameis get fired up and yell at people. You see Mike Evans get fired up and yell at people, and you see results from the offense. The defense is quietly doing a really great job. But to bring in someone that's got that attitude of nobody's going to beat us would be huge, but not first round pick huge for me.
Yeah. And again, I mean, so you would take Jalen Ramsey over Minkah Fitzpatrick at this time.
Yeah. Even though it's not the scheme fit or anything like that, I think Jalen Ramsey's a player you can put anywhere.
You know what? To be very honest, I was just going to say that. Yeah, he actually is. I mean, you could actually use him in multiple positions. So he definitely would. But would you be willing to give up a first round pick for him?
No. And here's why it's not going to happen, guys. Unless we trade one of these like 5 defensive backs we've drafted in the last 2 years, we're not going to do it because we have way too much personnel and money invested into defensive backs right now. If we make a trade, I think it's going to be for an offensive line still. Just if anything, depth or get Dotson out of there, or defensive line. I still think, yes, Shaq Barrett had 4 sacks, but he only was the one that had 4 sacks. We need somebody else that can get to the quarterback, and we can't wait for JPP because JPP might not be the same player when he gets back.
Yeah, most definitely.
He's up there.
The one thing that concerns me is all the free agents that you brought in on 1-year prove-it deals. And these players are going to be playing for bigger contracts. These players are showcasing their talents to either leverage for more money or potentially go to a team where they can make more money. So this year right here is kind of concerning for me because I don't know how many of these players are going to be here next year or how that's all going to work itself out. So
4 more sacks, they'll find a way to keep Shaq Barrett. Don't worry about that.
Oh, trust me. And you know what? I'm going to go on record and say you're going to at least see that. At least see that.
I'm ready to sign him now.
Yeah.
Didn't he play for Carolina? Wasn't he drafted by Carolina?
No, I thought he was drafted by Denver.
That's right. That's right. So I watched some of the Broncos game because my buddy's a big Denver Broncos fan, and he gave me the scoop on Shaq Barrett, and he was like, I would have bet my house that they would not have let him go. Like he was going to be the guy. He was basically like next in line. So he was kind of shocked that the Bucs were even able to get their hands on him.
Yeah. And again, you just Shaq lost.
Yeah, the other Shaq. I get my Shaqs confused. Let's bring Shaquille O'Neal back.
If you're talking about Carolina, that's Shaq Thompson.
Yeah, Shaq Lawson's Bills, right? Where'd all these Shaqs come from?
I don't know, but they're all playing pretty good. Well, Shaq Thompson isn't playing as well as I thought he would, but
yeah. But I want to see. I want to see the Bucs make a move. I want to see them get rid of this 2 tight end bullshit because they don't use both the tight ends. They might play in the same, formations every once in a while, but they're not using both those tight ends.
I'm sorry, but there's a lot of football to be played, and that's the one thing. We're in the NFL. Their injuries occur. I'm not sure.
Tanner Hudson. Hello.
Yeah. And to be very honest, it's kind of hard. I was really getting roasted because I was good with OJ Howard being drafted, and I wasn't. Me, I've already made my comments about Florida State, whatever. But I tell you what, Dalvin Cook was. I mean, just when he's healthy, that guy is a freaking monster. Just what he's been capable of doing.
So basically, what you're saying, Captain Hindsight, is we should have drafted Dalvin Cook.
I'm not going to go on record saying that. No. That's not what I'm going to say. All I'm saying is that, there's a lot of football to be played, and, a lot of things can change. Injuries occur. I would like to see Tanner Hudson out there. I want to see what he's capable of doing. I would have loved to have seen Daria Gumbawale out there a little bit more than what we saw running the ball possibly.
He'll get the ball.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And again, this is just game 2. Just game 2. So we don't know how the season's going to progress. But I tell you what, I like what I'm seeing so far, as long as they're continuously improving on it and cutting down these dumbass penalties, back-breaking penalties. I mean, when you take points off the board, I mean, it just, I don't know. It just gives me a migraine headache just thinking about it right now, how you you just take points off the board like that.
That's why I'd rather trade a draft pick and get a offensive tackle to plug in there, because Dotson's not going to be back next year. He's our oldest player. Yeah. But we got a really good comment in here that I definitely agree with. And, I want to celebrate the Bucs win from Thursday as much as we can. But Garvey here says, I think that's exclusive, Garvey.
I like this guy. This guy is great, man. I like when he comes in and comments. It's just is insightful. There's actually a lot of guys in here that comment, and I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. What's crazy? I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to tell you right now. As I've been doing this, I rarely have those Facebook hot takes. These guys come in there and they know what they're talking about, and I appreciate that. These guys, and they're always appreciated. You've got some guys that are new that come in, and it's great, man. I appreciate all that.
You just gave me the name of my new podcast.
Facebook Hot Takes?
Buccaneers Facebook Hot Takes. And I'm just going to go in Buccaneers groups and just get the hot takes. And I'm just going to dish them out and be like, who wants their hot takes?
That's right.
Just dish them out. I was trying to give this guy some cred for this amazing post before you really put him on a pedestal here. I mean, so if Cam would have been accurate, our deep backs would have been exposed. Cam was just so inaccurate last week. That is 100% right. The Bucs could have easily lost that game. That's why I'm not super high on the Bucs right now. Let's get a couple more games in. Let's see what the defense can do. If Cam Newton could hit a pass over 10 yards, he did hit the one at the beginning. Not many others beyond that. Players were open. If Cam Newton could have been accurate, it's a whole different ball game. But like I said earlier, Carson Wentz wasn't accurate. I saw a comment. Matt Ryan wasn't accurate. It's not easy to be a quarterback. We know all about Jameis Winston and his accuracy. So,
and you want to know something interesting? And I've just been looking at this over the past 2-3 years. The defense is catching up with the offense. The offense was running away with it for the longest time. You couldn't do this, you couldn't do that. But the quality of these players that are coming out of college, they're built to cover a lot of these wide receivers. And that's something that, I'm seeing more and more of. These guys are coming out and, they may get burned on this play, but they bounce back and they're able to make plays. So to me, this is what's exciting, is to see these players that are coming out of college. They're making these plays. People are adjusting to the speed of the NFL, the wide receivers, because we know this is a passing league. But it's been really exciting to see some of these defensive backs, as we're talking about on some of these games, how they've gone out and played.
Yeah, it's kind of been surprising, right? And the thing that I noticed about the defense is they bend, but they don't break as much. They're not letting people in the end zone. They're not giving up these huge plays, and when they're in the red zone, they are forcing the other teams to make kicks. Which, by the way, does it seem like any team the Bucs play nails their field goals right down the middle? The exception was the Carolina kicker hit one off the upright and in. But it seems like teams we play can't miss with their field goals. I don't know if that's part of the kicking curse or what.
It could very well be. I think we should have retired the other Ryan, the good Ryan from Atlanta. We should have retired him here as a Buck, and I think we would have been fine.
Yeah. So what other games you want to talk about?
Well, let's see here. Let's see what we have here.
How about the Steelers?
Yeah, the Squealers. Okay, another fan base that's on suicide watch.
And it's been a while since they've had just one bad season. And did I hear Big Ben's out for the year?
I believe so.
They're going to be looking at 8-8 at the best, probably. I mean, think about it. They went from Bell, Brown, Roethlisberger, the triple Bs or whatever the hell they call them.
Yeah.
Like, what's Chris Collinsworth going to do when they play on Sunday Night Football next time they're on Sunday Night Football? He's not going to know who any of the players are.
Hey, and you know, if you get to watch Chris Collinsworth in the future and you want to play a drinking game, take a shot every time he says "this guy." You'll have alcohol poisoning by halftime.
Yeah, I believe it. That's one of my least favorite commentators. I don't think I'm alone
him and Joe Buck are neck and neck.
Yeah, I'm even tired of Romo. Like, I know a lot of people like Romo. But
you know what? I'm going to say this. Okay, I like Romo. I don't have a problem with Romo now that he's not, you know, part of the 1-star rating team. I actually do like his commentary. I like his insight, and I like how he calls plays because you know what? He's kind of educating. Every time I'm watching a game, he's educating me because he's looking at a play and he's like, he's got it all figured out. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. And then I can go back and look at the formation and it makes sense when I'm looking at game film. So he kind of helps me. So
I don't know. I'm just tired of him already.
And
yeah, we understand, you know, what the next play is going to be, but you know, too bad you couldn't play quarterback for the Cowboys from the broadcast booth.
Yeah. Shout out to Cannon Fire Podcast. Rhett is in the house checking out the podcast. Thank you so much. You're appreciated. I hope the Bucks can sign Matt Khalil and move Smith to right tackle. Is Matt Khalil healthy? I hadn't heard.
No, you know? If he was healthy, he'd be on a team.
Yeah.
Or didn't he retire or something?
Well, let's see. I don't remember. I was just thinking, for some reason I was thinking he was injured or something like that, and that's why he's not. But anyway, not important. We can kind of move on, I guess.
I think we got a shot to win the South. I think they do have a shot. It's funny how after week one,
it's kind of up in the air, you know. And again, listen, and you guys know me, and you guys know how I am about being a fan. There's no wrong way to be a fan of this team, considering what you've had to endure over the past decade plus. So if people are excited about this team and it's just a second game in, I'm happy for you. I think there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're still pessimistic about this team, not sure how this team is going to do, well, it's okay. I say, you know, hey, let it go. You know, that's just what you do. So again, I don't know. There's no wrong way to do it, to be very honest. XLU Garvey, what are you guys' expectations on Byron's play calling? We start off slow, so does that mean the first 15 plays have been trash? Or if isn't the first 15 plays scripted? Yeah, you know what? I believe they are. I forgot who I was talking to. I think it may have been Michael Pless last week, who was talking about, you know, plays and scripted plays. So XLU Garvey,
though.
Yeah, XLU Garvey. It's still, the jury's still out. I have not been like 200% thrilled with the play calling. And I don't know if that goes back to execution or if it's just the play calling. So I don't know. I'm still kind of on the fence about this. And if you've listened to me, you've heard me say, I'm just kind of waiting to see, because, you know, that first game is an overreaction. Second game can be an overreaction. So let's see let's see how they progress. Let's see if things get better. I will tell you, if things get too crazy, I do expect to see BA taking over the offensive play calling. So just keep your eye out for that, and we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, and you got to remember, Leftwich, like, he was offensive coordinator for Arizona for like 2 weeks or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was like 3 weeks after what I think after Wilkes got let go, I believe.
Yeah, and you know, he was a quarterback, so he knows what he's doing. But as far as actually being an offensive coordinator, play caller, he's only 2 weeks in, essentially. I mean, and you can tag on the Arizona days to that if you want to, but I would expect he'll get marginally better as the season goes on. And it's not going to be like golf, where you play golf for like 5 years and you get this much better. I expect it to get, you know, this much better every game that they play, and once they get used to things. And I keep hearing like all this chatter about, with this offense, it takes time. It took Carson Palmer like till week 8, and then he went off. So I'm expecting something like that to happen, and I'm surprised that on the other side of the ball, the defense has caught on so quickly and is doing as well as they have. But I think we just give Leftwich some time, and I think you're right. I think Arians, possibly takes over if they continue to struggle, but as long as they keep put up some W's,
but again, I think that's like as a last resort. I like Byron Leftwich. I like what he's been doing so far. I think it comes back to execution. We've seen a lot of drop balls. OJ Howard, example. I mean, there are plays that should have been first downs that turned into turnovers, and there have just been those kind of plays. However, on the back end of that, I know that Greg Allman showed some shots of, and I have to go back and watch this again, of OJ Howard getting blocks, getting really nice blocks going downfield that have opened up plays. So again, a lot of the things that you're seeing with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, it's not physical. It has nothing to do with physical play. It's more execution. Points being taken off the board has nothing to do with a player's talent. More or less, it's from the neck up. This is where the problem is. This is where you're seeing those penalties. So, as a matter of fact, Buccaneer Bruce, thank you so much for that. OJ had the big block on the Peyton Barber touchdown. So, again, it takes a while for a team to gel. And the one thing, and it's not an excuse, guys, I promise you it's not an excuse, it's realistic. You can't expect a team to come together and gel after 2 weeks. And it's just not realistic. I mean, the teams that do, those are the exceptions to the rules. Those aren't the rules. So, we just kind of have to wait and see what they do. XLU Garvey, I'm right there with you. I would love to see more of Justin Watson myself, but more so. And what do you guys think about this? Would you like to see Tanner Hudson? Would you like to see Tanner Hudson get again, this is a fan show. I'm putting stuff out there. This is not likely to happen, but just as a fan right now, I would love to see Tanner Hudson get out there and let's see what he can do. I mean, when you look at
Tanner, put him in the slot.
Yeah, when you looked at Tanner Hudson at the beginning of the season, and I think the fact that he can't block very well may contribute to where he's at right now. But when you looked at Tanner Hudson at the beginning of the season, nobody ever thought realistically that he would make this team, considering all the other names that were ahead of him. And he went out there and just made the most of his opportunities. Daria Gumbawale, he's gone out and made the most of his opportunities. You had Bruce Ellington, who came in, who was brought in, and you had Daria going out there and making plays and doing what he needed to do. We've seen that, continuously. Adam Humphries, when he made plays and went out and did things that he needed to do to make this team. There are so many examples. And to me, that's what I want to see is, these guys getting opportunities to go out there and make this team better or help this team win games.
Yeah. And, if we're going to trade for anyone, we should trade back for Adam Humphries because I bet he's missing Jameis Winston right about now because he hasn't caught crap except maybe a cold the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. And again, that's just the nature of football. That's the business aspect of it. I said this, and I caught a lot of heat for saying this. Adam Humphries is not a number 2 receiver, and he's wanting number 2 receiver money. And, again, I'm just being realistic. I love this team. I love the fans and, just everything about this team. However, realistically, I can't sit here and tell you, you got to pay this guy number 2 receiver money because it's just not that thing. So,
no, but I think everyone's on the same page. Perriman, I actually followed his career once he got drafted because he was a first-round draft pick. He couldn't do anything. He couldn't even get on the field with the Ravens. When he did, he dropped the ball, like literally dropped the ball because he can't catch, as you've seen. And then he went off to the Browns, I think, and guess what? He dropped the ball. And I'm not talking about rookie hazing or anything like that. He couldn't catch the ball. So what makes us think that Perriman's going to change here? Yeah, I like having him on the team. You know what he should do every single play he's on the field? Run as fast as he can, to the end zone, straight to the end zone. Hopefully he takes 2 defenders with him.
Yep,
That's his
9 route.
value on this team.
So you don't think that you don't think you'll see improvement as the season goes on?
No, you're going to see more drops. Like, hopefully he connects for some deep balls. That's what I would do. Just send him deep on every play. Jameis, if he's got one-on-one, he's got a step, throw it to him. But, Jameis has to hit him, which it's going to be deep. So we know those issues. And then B, he's got to catch the ball. And for some reason, he caught the ball in preseason, but I'm not seeing him hold on to those balls that he needs to be catching during the regular season.
I'm not giving up hope on Perryman yet. That's just me. You're right. I would run him on a 9 route. I'd run him on a bunch of 9 routes and just hey, take this defender with you and bring somebody underneath on a drag route possibly or something like that. I don't know. I'm not a professional head coach, and so I'm just kind of throwing stuff out here. But I get the fans' frustrations, and I really want to say Jameis Winston, he had a good game. He had a really good game against Carolina, no turnovers, and I think that's something that has been missed and really needs to be spoken about, is that there were no turnovers. So again, let's kind of see how this season progresses. He had one rough game. He had one good game. So let's see what he produces this game, and just continue to go from there. The beautiful thing about this, that I can honestly say 100%, is that he hasn't had a defense. Can we agree that in the time that Jameis Winston has been a Tampa Bay Buccaneer, that he hasn't quite had that defense that he can say, okay, I've lost the position battle here. Let's kick the ball off and get it over to the defense and see what they can do. And if they can win that field position battle, I can go out there and do what I need to do. So
they've had historically bad defenses with James. I mean, I think maybe 1 or 2 years they did all right. I think the year they finished
2016 they were decent.
Yeah, and the defense was on a roll there for a little while,
right,
but beyond that, it's like record-breaking bad numbers for this defense, and it seems like those days might be behind us. But I still want to see us play a top 10 offense before.
Yeah, that's going to be the interesting test. I think you're looking at facing an elite running back in Saquon Barkley, who is multifaceted. He can go out and do a lot of different things. I'm really interested to see how they scheme against him and see how he comes out. So not so much the quarterbacks, but more the running back, to see what they do with him. How do they try to neutralize him and help this team win?
Hey, they stopped McCaffrey.
Yeah. And I was not that as much as I expected, I didn't expect, but I thought the Bucs would win. I didn't expect them to get McCaffrey to have McCaffrey shut down the way they did. So, shout out to them. They did what they needed to do.
The man's onto something. He wants to see Scotty Miller.
You know what?
Put the kid in.
Hey, I think, again, there are a lot of players that you guys are mentioning, and we're only in game 2. I think you'll eventually get to see them. As I say, and I've always said, the NFL, there's always, and I don't wish this on anybody, but you're going to see some injuries. You may see times where players are going to be asked to step up. So let's kind of see what what this team is going to do, and let's kind of go from there. I want to jump back into some of these games. Did you watch the Indianapolis-Tennessee game?
I had an eye on the score. Did I watch it? Not really. Yeah. I'm surprised the Colts won, even though the Titans continuously disappoint everyone that's involved with them. It's surprising to just see the Colts putting up what they're doing. They're 1-1 now, right? But
yeah,
having their franchise quarterback just kind of call it quits 2 weeks before the season starts. I mean, that's like a shock to the whole franchise, right?
Well, I don't know, man. I mean, I don't know if you ever had to rehab from an injury before. I mean,
I have. I have no problem with him, calling it quits.
And I think that as a team, I'm sure they had to have some idea that this was potentially on the horizon. I know that you know, us as fans, we're outsiders looking in, but I'm sure that in that locker room, you know, somebody had to have known how he felt, and the fact that he wasn't his injury, he wasn't responding, and his injury turned out to be worse than what it was. And just considering the plethora of injuries that he's had, he ends up saying, you know what, it's just too much to try to recover again. I mean, that in itself, man. I mean, I honestly believe that more of it, that there were teammates that knew that this could potentially happen.
Yeah. And maybe it's turning into like the rally cry, you know.
Yeah,
You got
you know,
percent now.
like they had for Pagano when he was out. So
Yeah, and you know when you got that USF running back in your backfield,
oh, Marlon Mack.
game changer. Man, I thought when the Bucks moved up and drafted Beckwith, I thought they were moving up to draft Marlon Mack
Yeah,
and
I was a little
hindsight
disappointed.
2020.
I really wanted Marlon Mack, but again, you know, things happen for a reason, and I wish the best for Beckwith as well. You know, with his injuries, NFL players are human beings, and I just want the best for him as well.
Yeah, let
So
him coach. If he can't play anymore, get him to coach our linebackers.
there you go, man. I can't believe we've been on here for an hour and a half. That's crazy.
There's a lot of football to talk
There
about.
really is.
Should we try it again after week 3?
Yeah, let's try this again after week 3. But I do want to get back to the Bucks, because I know that's what the majority of everybody in here is wanting to talk about. And let's see, Demand was saying, I think we got a shot to win the South once that O gets hot. Um, I think watch out. I think this Buccaneers offense is going to get hot. I really believe that. Just kind of the way they've been, getting close. They've missed some plays, and the running game. The running game is really nice. I mean, I like what they're doing with the running game, and it kind of harkens back to Doug Martin and how Doug Martin was running in 2015. But the Bucks have not seen consistent running in a long time. So I'm super excited about this.
Yeah, and last game I kept waiting like for Rojo. I was like, oh, this is gonna be his breakout game. Like he started it a little bit in week 1, and I bet they're gonna give him the ball more. And they kind of stuck with Barber throughout most of the game, and he guys earned it because he was just pounding the rock. It seemed like every time you gave him the ball, it's another 5 yards. And
Yeah.
then even towards the end of the game in the second half, when he started running the ball, he was getting like some 10-yard runs. And then that last touchdown was what, like, 15, 16 yards. So, as soon as you start to think that Rojo is going to take over, don't forget we got Barber, who's just going to pound that rock right up the middle. So I like the combination that we have of these running backs.
Yeah.
I'd like to see what's his name, Dare, get back
Dare.
in there and get some snaps as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that really changes everything around. I love Peyton Barber. I always, and if you've watched me, I've never said anything bad about him. I think he's a very underrated running back in the NFL, in the NFL as a whole. And I like that he's getting the opportunity to go out there and play, and he's showing why he is why he's the starter, just based on how he's running the ball and how hard he's running. Again, it would be nice to see that change of pace back, where you have a guy like Adare come in, or possibly getting Rojo back in there. I don't know if he's hurt. I'm not sure, but it just seems kind of peculiar to me that he didn't have a bigger contribution in the game. XLU Garvey, I'm waiting to see the Jameis to Mike connection heat up. It has been rough. Yeah, again, I see it. I see them. I see them getting together. I think they have a good connection, and you've got so many more games in this season, and I would rather have them heat up late in the season and go through the growing pains that they're going through now, and then pick it up towards the back end of the season. So you're right.
Yeah.
It has been rough to watch, but I have faith that it will get better.
Yeah, and don't forget, you got Chris Godwin, who is just racking up 100-yard games a lot in the last 10 games that he's played. And eventually defenses are going to
Yeah. Uh-oh, I think he's frozen. But anyway, I get where he's going with that. I mean, you kind of have to pay attention to Chris Godwin, just the way that this guy has been playing.
start
I
to.
think he ended up with 121 yards in this last. Oh, okay, you're back. Go for it.
All right. Yeah, no, I think you got the gist of what I was saying. Once defenses start paying attention to Godwin, which they're going to have to after these first 2 weeks,
Or they're stupid
he's
if they
gonna
don't.
start to command more attention to that side of the field. So it's gonna open it up a little bit more for Mike Evans because that's the luxury we had with Deshaun Jackson is just like he commanded some defenders on him. So it'll be back with Mike. Like I said earlier, if you're in one of these fantasy football leagues that are not a bunch of Tampa Bay Buccaneers fans, go make an offer like now for I guess we have to wait till tomorrow, but make an offer for Mike Evans because if you got a guy like Calvin Ridley um, from the Falcons who's doing pretty well, I would trade Mike Evans for him all day, or for Mike Evans, I should say, all day, and you might get that trade straight up if you're playing with the right people.
Yeah, there you
And I
go.
want in your league also next season.
And Frank Triple X 311. We were talking about Minka Fitzpatrick earlier in the show, but I would be good with either move, to be honest. I mean, either move would be an improvement over what you're seeing now, and and I think that if the Bucks are in that win now mode, I think it would definitely solidify their secondary and that defense as a whole to have somebody like a Minka Fitzpatrick in your backfield or a Jalen Ramsey. So uh, if it happens, I'll be excited about it. If it doesn't happen, I mean, it's not going to hurt my feelings any. And that's kind of where I'm at with where this team is personnel wise.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I don't know, or I haven't seen enough of Fitzpatrick in the NFL to really warrant giving up, like, definitely not a first round, second round, maybe. And then my other problem with trading for a defensive back is like, why are we trading for defensive backs when we've drafted the hell out of defensive backs in the last 2 years of the draft? Like, what do we got? 5 guys on the roster? So then you're kind of saying you're giving up on these guys.
Well,
But I don't know.
you do have a safety that you did put on IR, so you would definitely be replenishing that safety core, and again, I wouldn't have a problem with that.
Is Fitzpatrick playing safety? Was he playing safety for the Dolphins?
I was thinking he was. Good
I thought
question.
he was more of a.
Somebody in the chat's gonna hit me up and tell me for sure. Yeah, and somebody will get to it.
A
Let's
nata
see.
guy
Oh, he's a
the
cornerback.
Bucks need.
Yeah, safety. They've got him.
He's undersized. He's like VH 3 size, right? Like under 6 foot.
Yeah, he's 6'1".
Oh, he that's a big cornerback if you're 6'1".
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think that's the need. I don't see why you're gonna
I
give up
understand. I
draft
understand, but
picks
I'm
for a
and my
cornerback.
my thing is this. Linebacker, slot, and safety. There you go. Demand. Thank you so much.
Plays it all.
Yeah, and versatility has been one of those things that Jason Light has really looked at. When he's bringing players that can play multiple positions. So definitely something to consider. I know that you're looking at offensive line, but I'm just sorry. Your best offensive line are playing. Your best offensive linemen are playing on a team.
Yeah,
And to
but
me that is concerning when you bring somebody from off the couch and you bring them in. There's definitely a reason that some of these players are on the couch to begin with. So
yeah.
and
Well,
and
I'm
and
not.
and,
I'm
and, I,
not
and
signing
again, like
anyone
like Frank Triple
from
X
the
three one
street.
one says, the Bucks need O line as a priority. I 100% agree with. I'm not going to argue that point at all. But when you look at quality of talent out there, is there a quality offensive lineman that you can plug and play and get productivity from him right away?
Well, I'm talking about strictly trading. If I'm going to
Uh
give
huh.
up a second round pick, it's going to be for a lineman and not necessarily the offensive lineman. We still have a need for like a speed pass rusher. I think the inside's good, but we still need that outside guy because the rest of the defensive linemen we have, like Golston, I'm very happy with. There you go, highlight. He's stepped up, but he's like run support.
Right.
And I still think we need that speed guy. And I hate to say it, but I don't think JPP is going to be the same player when he gets back. I think he's not even going to be on the Bucs next year.
And this is what's intriguing to me right here. I mean, and all we have to do is just go back to 2018. The Bucs were getting gouged left and right in the run. The run game was atrocious. There was no run stoppers.
But we had Gerald McCoy. He's made the Pro Bowl 6 times, right?
I know.
What are you talking about? I mean, interior alignment's not the problem.
But in all honesty, they just were not able to stop the run, and that hurt the Bucs immensely last year. Not being able to shut down the run, just getting gouged left, day in and day out. And I believe that, they've made strides, bringing in Ndamukong Suh. I know that's a temporary fix, but to me, it was an upgrade over, the way things were going last year. The whole change in philosophy, change in mentality is going to be huge, especially for a young player like a Vita Vea, which, by the way, I have not talked about this man enough. He has not gotten enough credit for what he's been doing. This guy is a man among boys, moving offensive linemen around like they don't exist. And it's just been crazy to watch him and watch his growth in these just few games that he's had in the regular season.
Yeah, no, I'm a believer. Even it went back to last season.
Yep, it looks like he froze again. To paraphrase what he is getting ready to say, just watching Vita Vea come in from that injury and get that slow start, just the slow start because he wasn't in football shape. But once he got back in football shape, just watching him work. Go ahead and finish your comment.
Oh, about
Vita.
About Vita. Yeah, no, just going back to last season, you could see he was starting to understand what he's doing, starting to get more comfortable. And now that you put him next to Suh, I mean, it seems like a totally different Bucs defensive line, even though we always compare McCoy with Suh. But I mean, it seems like a completely different team on defense to me. And you got to take into account the play calling and the coaching and stuff like that. I did see that hit, by the way. If I'm glancing over here, I've got the Monday Night Football game on, and what's his name just got destroyed. Yeah, that was ugly.
Bro, let's hope.
The Jets are looking like the Jets already. Let's just hope Jameis Winston doesn't get mono. That's what I'm going to pray for tonight.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this whole Bucs team, it's just been. Let's just hope for the best. I'm going to put it that way. I mean, if the Bucs can get past Mercer, they can get past anything. That's the way I look at
it. It's a good point of view.
Yeah. So,
but yeah, by the way, it looks like the Browns are handling the Jets 13-0 here. So the Browns finally living up to the hype. But again, who are they playing?
Yeah. Frank Triple X 311. Jets down to their third QB. Tampa Supreme. What's going on, man? Again, the Jets are the Jets.
I can't throw.
Yeah, I can't believe Le'Veon Bell went to the Jets.
Obviously, Le'Veon Bell was all about the money, so he doesn't care.
Yeah,
and he's like basically doing it himself right now. If you're watching this game,
yeah, which is unbelievable, just what we're seeing. So I don't know.
But yeah, I like this. I could do this every Monday night. We should have just Monday night. Everybody turns on the Monday Night Football game. We talk about Sunday. We talk about the game going on right now. We talk about what happened with the Bucs. That's the future. Not Buck what you heard, NFL what you heard, or what you heard NFL.
Yeah, there you go. What you heard NFL. I like that. So we could kind of switch this up, man. I love it, man. I mean, again, I can talk football all the time, And I think it's cool to kind of have a change of pace. And God, that ankle injury was horrible. Goodness gracious me. I mean, I don't wish that on anybody.
Yeah. And the funny part, he's walking off the field. He walked
Yeah.
off.
So
That's wild.
yeah. So you can't.
We didn't even talk about the Patriots, Antonio Brown, any of that stuff.
I
So,
tend to stay away from the TMZ. If you know anything about my show, I tend to stay away from the TMZ stuff. Antonio Brown is a talent. I will give you that. Uh, he is a talent, and just all the stuff, all the circus that surrounds him. It's sad to see, but it is what it is. And again, is just what you get, man. But what he was able to come out and do, you had to double team him. You had to know where he was on the field. He is a defensive coordinator nightmare, and we'll see. Just kind of see how all this progresses with him. But Tom Brady's loving it. But guys, just remember, I want everybody to remember, this season is not over. I remember the New England Patriots went 17-0, 18-0, something like that, and then they lost in the Super Bowl. So it doesn't matter who's on this team. You guys, they got to go out and play these games. So to me, yeah, that's cool that they have all this talent out there, but at the end of the day, they got to go out and execute. So let's wait and see what happens here. Okay, yeah. Hey, Frank, Triple X311. If you're following me on Twitter, hit me up at Buck What You Heard. I would love to see that link if you have it copied. But I'm sorry, I just saw that pop up real quick. And again, welcome. But yeah, I just look at that and I'm like, wow, that's crazy. So
yeah,
I'm sorry.
I think I saw that. I think something about Cam Newton's father.
Oh, Cam Newton's dad.
Yeah, last
guys,
year was Andrew Adams.
Yeah, Andrew Adams.
Shaq Barrett.
You know what's Demand, thank you so much. What's interesting, and I want to kind of go back to that. We were talking about Andrew Adams, we were talking about Shaq Barrett, and more people were more thrilled with the sacks than the interceptions. And it's really wild, how different people view the game. There's no wrong answer here. Let me just say that. There's no wrong answer with what you like or what you think was more memorable. And he's asking, are we sold on Dak? I don't know. I don't like Dallas, so I'm pretty biased. I think Dallas is right down there with Atlanta for me. So I couldn't give you a totally unbiased answer when it comes to Dak Prescott because I just don't want Dallas to ever win anything ever again in NFL history. But yeah, I think he had a decent game, but as usual, here it is right here. Shaquille Barrett, born November 17, 1992, is an American football outside linebacker for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers of the National Football League. He was signed by the Denver Broncos. Oh, he'll probably finish it. Yep, he'll get the rest of it up here. But anyway.
So Dak.
No, I'm not sold on him. But again, that could be my bias.
Sold on him though. You don't have to be sold on him. Jerry Jones is sold on him, especially after the last game. And if they're smart, they'll sign him this week because they play the Miami Dolphins next week. And they're going to destroy the Miami Dolphins, and Dak's going to have an incredible game. So if they're smart, they'll save themselves some money and sign him now. But the Dallas Cowboys, they are looking good. Like they will be one of the top teams in the NFC. But here's the thing: if they don't win in the next 2 years, that window's going to close quickly because Zeke's not going to last forever. They're signing all these guys to these big contracts because you forget it's not just Zeke, it's not just Dak that they still have to sign. They signed Jalen Smith.
He just froze up again on us. So he'll be back after these messages. But let me finish reading this. Undrafted free agent in 2014. He played college football at Colorado. Oh, Yeah, you're back. Go ahead. Go
Yeah,
ahead and
YouTube
finish.
doesn't like me. I have like 18 strikes on my account. They've located me.
And guys, we
No,
are looking to move this Monday night show over to Twitch. So as soon as we can get that up and running, you will definitely see us on Twitch. And we'll record this and put this on YouTube afterwards. But Twitch a little bit more stable, and we both like it. So
read the
just
rest
a
of
Monday
Frank's
night.
comment.
Yeah, this is just a Monday night, but I think this is gonna become the norm, and we'll get to talk football and talk about everything around the league. So something to definitely look out for. But it's not going away from YouTube. It'll just be pre-recorded. But yeah, just kind of look for that. But yeah, just kind of back to what you were saying.
Oh yeah, as far as Dak goes, so Dak, really good game last week. Going to play the Dolphins next week. You better sign him now because they're going to sign him to a long-term contract. He's going to get overpaid. You might as well do it before he puts up like 6 touchdowns against the Dolphins. But the Cowboys are going to be good, right? They're going to be good this year. But with the contracts that they're handing out to people, they're going to have a window to win a Super Bowl, and that window is going to be this year, next year, maybe the following year, and they better get it done during those years. So I'm not like a total like Cowboys homer or anything like that, but I do think they're good this year. They're going to start signing these guys like they already have to long-term big contracts, and as we've seen as Bucs fans, that's going to turn around and bite them on the butt when they do have to add that like one extra piece that gets them over the hump, like some players on defense.
Yep. Jason Lockenfora 1 hour ago, Minkah Fitzpatrick trade likely to be wrapped up by tomorrow. The Dolphins expected to get a first-round value for him. Washington, Dallas, Kansas City, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, and Seattle all in the mix.
Yeah, I'd look for Dallas to get any of these cornerbacks that are wanting to be traded. And again, they're going to have to pay these cornerbacks along with Dak. And they still have to sign Cooper, right? Or is he locked up?
I think he's locked up. I think that.
Well, what about that offensive line? Like, there's just not going to be enough money for them to go around. They need to win like now. They need to win while Dak's on that first contract.
Yeah, I just don't see it. I don't know. I think they're missing something. I think probably like a head coach or something like that.
They're the Cowboys.
Yeah, so
it ain't going to happen.
They're
good though. I'll give them credit.
We will definitely see that. Jason Lockenfora was saying Myles Garrett racking up personal fouls already this season, out of character for him.
I'd trade for that guy in a heartbeat. I would trade a first-round pick today to get him on the Bucs. that guy's a monster.
Yeah, he really is.
He seems a little too nice though. He's got the Gerald McCoy syndrome of being too nice. On the football field, like I want my defensive players to be mean. I want 11 Warren Saps.
Oh, XLU Garvey, Cooper deal not done yet either. XLU Garvey, we got to get you on here. When we get this thing on Monday night going, I'd love to get you on here and kind of chop it up with you a little bit. What would be even cooler if we got listeners on here. I think we could do that. I think that would be. I kind of alluded to that last year, but it just never happened. Like crappy software, but I think through the magic of technology, I can make that happen. And I think it would be kind of cool to get some different listeners on here, because that's what makes the show great, man. Is just being able to have people that get their points across. I think that everybody needs that platform, and not just in the chat, but being able to just kind of come on and talk about it. So, again, guys, if you're not following me on Twitter, hit me up at Buck What You Heard. My man Shooty Shoots, one of the greatest animation experts. I should call him an animation artist that I know.
Ooh.
I like the and
Here, let me give you a little bit of this. And give you a little of this action.
There we go. Hey, can we get my my cameo in one of your artists in one of your shows? Can we get my cameo out there before we roll out of here?
Well, I can't get you on right now, but I have so I'm not working on any Buck stuff right now. I've been working on this Florida Man stuff where we're taking these Florida Man stories and we're animating them. So I want to get your voice possibly, but I'm definitely going to use your character for some of these Florida Man creations. I'm done like a couple of them. Again, just short like 1 minute videos.
Uh,
I've done a whole bunch of them, but I'm going to do them all at once and it's going to be like a 5 to 10 minute type of thing. So it's like the slow project for me. And next I really have to do something for the Lightning.
yeah, but you got to hurry up and get this in before Lightning season. So it's still football season. So let's enjoy this for right now. But
Yeah, the thing with the Bucks is like I don't have anything planned right now, but when something happens, like that makes a lot of sense, then you'll see an animation of it.
dude, you are such a show off right now. Just all this,
Look
all
at
this.
Matt Ryan choke here. This is one of my favorite. Watch, he gets the purple face. This is the Super Bowl.
Dude, can you send that to me? I got somebody that would really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta repost that on Twitter. That's awesome.
Yeah, I
Oh,
gotta
hey,
start like bringing up some of the old stuff since I'm
yeah.
not able to do as much of the new stuff.
Hey, Demand, thank you so much. Guys, I'll be back on Wednesday with Michael Pless, and we'll be talking strictly Bucks. But this is something a little bit different. Buck the World 2.0 says, what's up, Captain and Shooty here on the uh, NFL you heard. Is that what he said?
NFL, you heard.
Yeah, I guess that's what we're calling it. That I don't know. Does that flow? I don't know if that really
Well,
flows. It sort of
yeah, I
does.
don't know. We'll
And
think of something.
yeah, I definitely want to shout out Cigar City as usual. The beer that gets you through. Um, I I'm really appreciating them. That's Tampa, and I figure this is a Buck show still, even though we talk about the NFL. So I want to get them a shout out in there too.
Yeah, and I
Um,
heard they're going to be the official like brewery of the Tampa Bay Lightning. From what I hear this
really,
season, yeah, it's not going to be Big Storm anymore.
and you
So
know what, Cigar City is perfect for Tampa. And guys, I'm really kind of looking like I will be in Tampa for the Thanksgiving weekend. I would love to catch up with you guys. If you don't know or you do know, my spot is the press box. I love kicking it at the press box. It's one of my places. I love to hang out with a lot of people. So XLU Garvey, I'm literally down the street from Cigar City. Lucky, I wish I were you, man.
yeah, let's do a meetup. Let's just do a meetup for that weekend that you're in town.
Yeah,
Maybe
most
we can do it
definitely,
at
man.
Cigar City. They don't. I don't think they have TVs though.
They don't
Because I
need
got
to.
I
They've
got
got
some
beer.
connections. I know Jason. I know the head guy at Cigar City at the brewery. They hooked us up for mentioning them in an animation. So um, maybe we can get in with get something going on with them. I
Yeah,
like the press box though. That's
yeah,
that's like where the real fans go to watch games, away
that's
games.
right. It's funny. I've never seen a fight at the press box. Never. It's one of those
That's
places where,
impressive.
yeah, exactly. And I've seen Donnie Brooks at freaking almost every other place that you can think of, but just press box. Everybody. I've seen Eagles fans come in there, and that you're going to see it. I've seen Phillies fans come in there, and there's no fight. So that's just kind of how it is.
Yeah, that's surprising because I go to like the neighborhood friendly bar that's by my house called Varsity Club, and there's a bunch over in Pinellas. And like, this is like a place where like people bring their kids and stuff. And I've seen multiple fights there. Like, so, remember
This is
when
crazy.
Aaron Rodgers threw like, one of his Hail Marys that one season where he was Hail Marying everyone? He beat the Detroit Lions, and this guy from, I don't know, he's from Detroit. I'm assuming he is if he's a Lions fan. He's got his Detroit gear on. He just walks up to this guy and just punches him in the face after that. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? He didn't make your defense fucking choke this game away. But and that's not the first fight I've seen there. It's
Yeah.
crazy. That's a really good endorsement for the press box. Maybe we'll animate this clip and
There you go.
The press box. Get ourselves our free app or something.
Yeah, for real. Hey, Frank XXX311, are you linking up with the Buckaholics, the California Buckaholics, for that Rams game? Guys, if you can pay attention, I promise you, the Buckaholics it's an amazing organization, nonprofit. They do a lot for charity, and I think, what are they at, like 25? I think they're at 24, 25 cities in the United States. There's a Buckaholics chapter. And to me, that's just amazing that they're able to go out and find Bucks fans, and you've got different flags for different locations, and they make it fun. I mean, even New Mexico has a Buckaholics chapter. So to me, I mean, I think it's awesome that you have that kind of thing going on. I think that's going to be one of my yearly upset specials. I think the Bucks are going to beat the Rams, and until they go out and play, nobody can convince me otherwise. Yeah, for real. And especially in Los Angeles, they have meet and greets. If you're on Twitter, follow me at Buck What You Heard. I'll get you linked up with the Buckaholics. Great organization. There's a kid in Arizona who has leukemia, and they actually, in emergency, they came up with money for this kid for food and gas money to help get his parents to the hospital where he can get treatment at. So this is just the type of organization that the Buckaholics come up with. And what they did was they actually raffled off a jersey, and the proceeds went to the parents. And it's a beautiful thing that these type of humanitarian things transcend football, and you see people that reach out and do things to make somebody's life better. So definitely, I'm proud to say that I know a lot of the Buckaholics. I know a lot of the founders, and it's really awesome to be associated with them at times as well.
Yeah, I've done animations with them in it, and I've done animations for them. They wanted me to do another one for that LA game, but I'm not going to have the time to do it this season. I would need to already have been started it by now. So
yeah, most definitely. Well, guys, we have talked a lot. I can't believe we've almost gone 2 hours. Can you believe this?
Really? Oh man, my girl's gonna be very cranky when I get off this. Can we just keep going?
Yeah, you might as well just stay here.
Yeah, it's already over.
So before I go, like I do every show, I want to shout out everybody because you guys are amazing. Antoine Cates, Willie Horace, longtime listener. Keith Saunders, Lane Johnston. Again, as you guys know, I do shout you guys out because I appreciate you. And I want you to know that if you guys weren't on here, that, this show wouldn't be as successful as it is. And I appreciate you guys. The Pewtercast, of course, one of the benchmarks in, when you talk about Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I hate the term fringe media. I'm going to call them media because that's, to me, what they are. The Pewtercast, thank you so much for coming. Go ahead.
Can I make a comment about the media? And I don't consider Pewtercast the media, even though they are media now in this day and age. It's funny to see like all these, I'm not going to name any websites, but you guys know who I'm talking about, how much they kissed Gerald McCoy's ass. And then some of the tweets that I saw from those same outlets on Thursday night were just kind of funny to me, how their tone has changed with some of that. So that's why I like to listen to like Eugene and Pewtercast and some of these other podcasts that are out there, because like I just feel like I can relate to you guys more, and you guys like tell it like it is. It's not like behind the media mask, So I appreciate all you guys. And hey, I might be on the Instacast next Sunday night. So
I think it needs to happen. It really needs to happen. I love the Instacast. I think it's great. I've been fortunate enough to get invited on there a few times. Pewtercast, Rendax, and he's gonna kill me.
Brent.
Brent Allen. Sorry, Brent. I blame it on the Cigar City. But anyway, I digress. No, just being able to be invited on there is it's awesome to get that. Perry Mathis, Eric Moreno. I don't know if you've met Eric Moreno. I've met him at a couple of Bucks games. Longtime listener. I think he was one of the first back when Princess Nikki was my co-host. So that's been a while. Bucks dive in the pool. There's some really cool names out here. Lane Johnston, I think I mentioned his name. Let's see. Pewtercast. Buckfan727 over in Pinellas County. Chris Counts. And Callie Buck. What's up, Callie Buck? Rob G. And I know that this has been a long drawn out, but we were just kind of going around the NFL. And I don't even think we hit all the teams because the rest of the teams, don't really care about. But if it came up and there was something going on, we talked about them. But, this is strictly a Bucks show, but I thought it would be kind of cool. Frank, Triple X311, I really appreciate your interaction and everything. And again, if you're on Twitter, hit me up on Twitter and we'll talk because I really want to get you linked up with them. DeTwan Davis, what's going on? Thank you for checking us out. Buccaneer Bruce, longtime listener, thank you so much. Matthew Kitchell, this guy, I don't know if you interact with Matthew Kitchell on Twitter. I really enjoy this guy as well. Thank you so much. And I think I mentioned Rob G. XLU Garvey, we got to get this guy on a Monday when we do our thing. So I think it'll be really cool to sit down and talk with him and pick his brain on some football knowledge. But any of you guys that are following me on Twitter, Twitter is my main platform. If I'm on Facebook and you try to follow me, no offense, but I really don't add people on Facebook. It's Twitter is my thing because to me that's my sports platform, and I really want to get you guys. If you guys are interested in coming on, hey Gene, I'd love to get on with you on a Monday and just kind of talk football. I'll be glad to get you on and get your thoughts. I think that would be kind of cool to do that. So definitely, keep me in mind here. Antron Bailey. I think I got everybody. Oh, Tampa Supreme speaks. Tampa Supreme, thank you so much, longtime listener. Buck the World 2.0, again, a longtime listener. Amazement 727, thank you so much. You're appreciated. And guys, again, you guys are the best. Yeah, and I see that 727 is talking about the Kangol. This is, I take this off and show you guys. This is the actual BA with the mic. This isn't the one that you get from off of Fandom or Fanatics. This is the one from the BA Foundation. I would like my money to go to a worthy cause, so that's just what it's just kind of what we do. Demand, again, like I said, if you're following me on Twitter, if you're not, follow me at Buck What You Heard. If you're Shooty Shoots, it's a shame. I think it's a travesty of justice that this guy does not have more followers than he does. You guys need to be following him.
Yeah.
So it's a travesty.
I don't try that hard though. I like Twitter.
Yeah, but my thing is there are some really useless there are some people that are on Twitter that are just freaking useless. And there are people like you that bring these kind of backgrounds. Your backgrounds are hilarious. I love this. And that's what XLU Garvey is talking about. He's like, these backgrounds are killing me. I love your sense of humor. I love what you do. And I want you to continue doing it. And don't buy into what some of these salty ass fans are saying. Oh, you don't like Jameis Winston. You love Jameis Winston. It's humor. And,
Can I explain that for a second?
Yeah. Please, let's get this recorded so people will understand.
So a lot of people just this season out of nowhere are saying how like I'm just this huge Jameis hater, and all our videos in some way are just like hating on Jameis. Which if you actually watch the videos, not true at all. We purposely try to make the videos like balanced. Like if you watch a lot of our videos, it will show one fan side talking about what they think, and another fan side talking about what they think. That way, everybody's happy, or in a lot of the cases, everybody's offended. So here's the thing: if I didn't like Jameis and I wanted Jameis gone out of town so bad, don't you think we would be a lot meaner to him in these videos? And the other thing is, Jameis Winston was the first character that we had. We started as a podcast, and then we're like, oh, well, we can start to make these animations. And, we posted one, and 1,000 people saw it. And we're like, oh, well, this is different. Let's try this. So Jameis Winston was really our first character. And in the off season, we lost all of our files for all of our players. Everything we ever did, we lost. Thanks to technology, right?
Gremlins.
So we, I was lucky that we had a small, folder where I had some stuff saved, including Jameis Winston, thank God, because he's by far been our most popular character. There would be no Shooter in the Stash animations without Jameis Winston. And if he's gone, we have to freaking draw up some other quarterback to take his place. And you know what? Jameis Winston is a character. There's funny things to talk about. We're going to talk about those things that have happened in the past. They're funny. It's water under the bridge for Jameis, hopefully.
Yeah, but, the whole eating the W thing is still something I don't think I'll ever get over. But again, it's funny. It's meant to be humorous. It's not meant to be critical of anybody. It's meant to have fun. And I love that you're able to get on here and talk about that, and just kind of make the most of this. So, before we go, I want to kind of get your thoughts. What do you guys think about the Monday night format? How do you guys like it, where we're just kind of going around the NFL, just talking about football in general? So, just let me know. Just hit me up on the chat. I know that this has been long and drawn out. We were on for 2 hours. Normally, if this was Twitch, this would be fine. This is not the norm on YouTube, but eventually we'll get there. And again, I'm glad. And thank you, Amazement717. Thank you. We try to touch on a lot of other teams. I know that there are some Bucks fans that live in a vacuum and they only like the Bucks. They only care about the Bucks, nobody else. And I just wanted to do something a little bit different where we can, get out here and just talk about other stuff around the league. NFL, what you heard. I'm still trying to get used to that.
Yeah, I don't know if that's got the ring to it.
No, it just doesn't flow.
I was trying to fit it into your YouTube page, but I think
listeners, please, if you come up with a name, a name for the show, we will consider it, and it could possibly be the name we use.
Yeah, and I had been talking to you about doing some sort of post game show. We talked about Pewtercast has that on lockdown, so I was like, let's not go there. So this is kind of what we had come up with, and I was always going to stay a little bit more behind the scenes.
Was that a bird?
A fun fact that a lot of people don't know is I work with a lot of professional sports teams. So part of the reason why I want to stay behind the scenes is because I also make fun of a lot of sports teams. Some of them might be my customers. So that's kind of why I was going to stay behind the scenes. But I just wanted to get more into podcasting, video casting, whatever the hell you want to call it. And that's kind of what we've been talking about. And we had our first attempt at Twitch, which, technology beat us there. But I think Twitch is going to be the spot. And I really like the idea of if Garvey wants to pop in, let him hop on and make his comment in person. That goes for anyone else out there.
That's what I like. That I mean, I just like the idea because there are so many cool things that people are putting in the chat, and I'm like, how much more could they add to it if they were live? And that's I think that's what intrigues me about this, because a lot you don't like I said, I think I said this at the beginning, and I know a lot of people may have missed it, but we don't get a lot of hot takes on here. Guys come in and they say things and they make sense. They're not like some lunatic that's just like, oh, we should trade Jameis Winston for Minkah Fitzpatrick, or let's trade Mike Evans for Jalen Ramsey, or some stupid like that, something you would see on Facebook. So Just one of those things, man. And I love it. You know, these guys that come in here and make comments, it's just what they do.
Yeah, I like it because like to have this conversation, I would have to go like probably to like a sports bar or something, and then I'd end up having a
Bro,
couple drinks and
yeah,
like
you're
I
risking
don't
a
want to have too
DUI.
many drinks, and I just want to talk sports, and
Yeah.
I can have a couple drinks here still, and it's a lot cheaper.
What Sunday? Oh, how about this name? Sunday on a Monday.
Yeah,
I'm digging that.
Sunday
Okay,
on a Monday.
okay, write that down. We got to add that to the list, but we'll just keep working on this. Uh, nothing concrete yet. Hey, did Chris Baker get signed?
Probably not.
Okay, just checking. Just thought I would ask. So we just thought I'd throw that out there. But you know what? Next Monday, and what I'll do, just for everybody, I will try to before we transition over to Twitch, which will I'll put the link out here because I don't know how simulcasting. Maybe I could simulcast off of this.
I think you got to check your agreements.
Yeah,
I
and
know with Twitch, if you're an affiliate, you can't. You can
I'm
only,
just a nobody.
yeah. But then after 24 hours, you can post your video wherever you want.
All right. So guys, I'm really gonna work hard to get on Twitch. I think that it would. You know what? Google Hangouts is going away eventually. That's the only reason I'm not using it, and I'm actually using Live, is because YouTube has decided that they don't want to use Google Hangouts long term. So eventually, it will go away, and that's what kind of prompted me to switch over to a new software that would be more compatible with different platforms. So that was one of the main reasons I didn't jump ship, or I jumped ship and went to a different type of platform. But what I will say is this: is that I think you'll appreciate Twitch. It's a little bit more, as if you're one of those people that uses their devices. The app itself is not as resource heavy as some of your other apps, like iTunes or some of your other ones. So yeah, and again, what I'm using right now, I have a link, and I just share that link with people that get on, and we kind of talk. How hard was it for you, Shooty Shoots, to get on the show?
I clicked the link, and that's pretty much it.
What else?
So you just got to make sure you got a camera, right? Get a camera and a mic. You don't have to have this like big microphone that I have either.
Yeah.
I think you could probably just do it from your phone. Even if you probably have to have a good Wi-Fi connection.
Yeah, you really should. You really should.
There's some things that open up when we move, if we move on to Twitch, and even what we started to kind of experiment with, like some of the games that you can play on Twitch, and not just like you and I, but like these interactive games that anyone in the chat can play with their phone.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like when we did Jackbox NFL, I thought that was kind of dope.
Yeah, I had someone on my stream. I stream every Tuesday night, and I had someone on my stream last week actually asking about you and asking about that like Sunday night thing that we were doing for a little bit, and mentioned like it was cool how you guys would start like to play the game and stuff. So we can incorporate a little bit more into Twitch. And Twitch is actually owned by Amazon, and I don't think Amazon and Twitch are going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're gonna have some fun with this. We're gonna have some fun with the NFL this year, and again, just enjoy it as much as you can. And we'll definitely be on here next Monday. I like this. I had a lot of fun. It wasn't strictly Bucks, but we got to talk a little bit of trash on some other teams, and I'm always good with that. And again, just never forget the blown 28-3 lead that the Atlanta Falcons had. So always keep that in mind. If you're having a bad day, just remember that 28-3. It'll put you in a good mood.
How could I forget?
So that's pretty much it for us. I think this was pretty successful. You guys are great. The usual suspects on here. Shooty Shoots. This was a lot of fun. It was great, and we will do this again. So look for us next Monday, and we will have some fun with this. But for now, that's it for us, and we're out of here.